Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on all orders over $10 and support the channel at the same time. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends. We have a huge Core Set 2019 preview to take a look at today. 71 cards that have not been revealed before. We're going to go through them all quickly. A lot of them are reprints. That won't take us too much time. The newer cards we'll spend a few extra moments on. Quickly before we get started though, just a really fast reminder. If you're looking for a way to support what we do here at the channel, just check out the description below. You'll find a few ways. Our Patreon page is down there. You're going to find links to products on Amazon as well. If you buy anything on Amazon, no matter what it is, we'll get a small percentage if you go through that link. Finally, Flipside Gaming still offering a promo code for our viewers. Hopefully you can save some cash while you support the channel at the same time. As always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but to all of the viewers. You all make the channel what it is. And with that said, let's get into it. Let's start off with a couple quick product shots. Now, we've seen these before for the most part, but they did give us some nicer shots. Here's, of course, the whole array of Core Set products. Here's a bundle pack. Here are the booster packs. You might see some familiar faces, some new faces. We'll be meeting the person second to the left in just a few moments. Here's the booster box, and here's where things get a little bit awkward, because next we're going to look at the Buy a Box promo. Much like last time, you can only get this if you buy a booster box from your LGS while supplies last. Only place you can find this card. This is Nexus of Fate. 2 blue and 5. Instant. Mythic. Take an extra turn after this one. If Nexus of Fate will be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal Nexus of Fate and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. Okay, so I don't want to spend too much time on the whole Buy a Box promo thing. We've talked about that in previous videos. I know that is an issue definitely for a lot of players. And unfortunately, this card looks even better than the last one. Now, that last Buy a Box promo, it was a pretty good commander card, maybe a brawl card. But this feels like something I'd at least want to test out in Modern Extra Turns, which is a little bit scary. The reason I'm interested in it isn't because of the fact that it can be recurred. I mean, that's pretty cool. It's not even that casting cost, which actually feels a little high. But the fact that you can do this at instant speed, that is very, very intriguing to me for that particular deck. Now, maybe it doesn't pan out there. I hope it doesn't, because if it does pan out there, that just means there's more players that want to get their hands on it, which could drive up the cost of the card and such, and that's not necessarily a good thing, especially considering that it is difficult to get for some people, depending on their locale and such. So, I don't know. Hopefully they'll find an answer to this down the road and be able to reprint these cards or something like that. This one scares me a little bit. It's a really interesting design. It feels much more pushed than the previous one. Okay, let's look at the rest of the promo cards, and these will all be included in the regular set, but they'll have promo versions as well. And this first one is the Open House promo. It's a reprint of Gutter Snipe, actually a pretty cool reprint. I like the Magic 25th anniversary symbol that's on some of these too. This is the Draft Weekend promo version of a new card, Desecrated Tomb. It costs 3, it's an artifact rare. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. Okay, this is actually kind of interesting to me. If I were one to play with any sort of graveyard shenanigans, maybe I use this in my sideboard, side it in game 2 and game 3 in case my opponent sides in some graveyard hate, and maybe just create a whole new problem for my opponent as opposed to reanimation. Now they have to deal with a whole bunch of little flyers or something like that. I also like the fact that this card does say that when one or more creatures leave your graveyard, so it's not like they're just being exiled or something like that. If you reanimate, you're going to get an extra token. So if you're moving things around, you get the benefit. If you're getting rid of things from your graveyard so other cards can use an ability or something, you're getting a benefit. I feel like there's actually a lot of cool interactions with this card for perhaps Commander or just casual play generally. But I'd even consider maybe trying this out in a Dredge or reanimation deck in Legacy or even Modern. I don't know. Again, I'd have to test it there, see if it's good enough or worth the time, especially for 3 mana. But it's at least something to think about. Here's your League promo, and speaking of Commander, this is a reprint of Reliquary Tower. Great Commander card. Pretty cool to see it back again. Okay, this version of Demon of Catastrophes will be your Store Championship participation promo. When I saw this, I thought, this is going to be a really good card in Limited. 2 black and 2, it's a Demon, rare, 6/6. As an additional cost to cast, sack a creature, it has flying and trample. Now, if you can play this on turn 4, you're going to be in for a good time if your opponent doesn't have an answer, that's for sure. I mean, imagine turn 2 playing a 2/2 creature, maybe turn 3 playing a 3/3 creature or something like that, or a 2/3 with some ability, and then on turn 4 sacking your 2/2 and getting a 6/6 flying trample creature. that's kind of insane. If they don't have a removal spell, they're not going to win that game. Now, if they do, you just 2-for-1 yourself. So that's the risk you're taking, but I think it's worth the risk. Now, because of that risk, I'm not playing this in Standard or anything, but I do think this could be a really cool limited card. Now, if you do win that store championship, here's your playmat that will be your reward. It actually looks pretty sweet. Alright, Friday Night Magic promo time. We got 3 to look at. They're going to cycle throughout the season. The first one also, of course, is in the set, and that's Elvish Rejuvenator. This is a green and 2 Elf Druid common 1/1. When this enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may put a land card from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. This card actually seems pretty sweet for limited. I like the fact that it's going to help you work through your deck quicker, thin your deck slightly. It's going to help you find a color you need, maybe if you're splashing a third color or something along those lines. It does feel like there's a lot of opportunities to go 3, maybe even 4 colors in this set. How are the payoffs? Well, that remains to be seen. Although they have teased us that we're going to see some sort of correlation between cards in this set to the Elder Dragon Legends from Legends. So I'd assume there's going to be some interesting gold cards coming. So we'll have to wait and see what kind of role a card like this plays in conjunction to some of those. However, just generally, I'm playing this to get a land. It doesn't even have to be a basic land. That's kind of cool. Get a land out of my deck a little bit sooner than maybe I would have before. So it's great for color fixing, and it's going to be great to just make sure I hit those land drops and keep moving. In fact, this does even ramp you out a little bit as long as you do hit your land drops. So that's cool. And yeah, I'm not playing this for the 1/1 body. I mean, maybe there's some elf synergy we don't know of yet, but even so, it's not about the creature here, it's about the ability. Militia Bugler. This is a white and 2 human soldier, uncommon 2/3 with vigilance. When this enters the battlefield, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card with power 2 or less from among them. Put it in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So this is great for a white weenie build. This is going to be good in limited too, because you will have a fair amount of like 2/2s for 2, things of that nature, I'm sure. So this will help you not only get a 2/3 vigilance creature on the battlefield, but maybe dig for another creature and give you some card draw too to replace it. So I do like this quite a bit, as a matter of fact. I'd play this in limited and be really happy with it. As far as standard goes, I don't know. Maybe there's a white weenie deck in the future that might want something like this. Right now, I don't know if it would fit into the current environment, but perhaps after rotation. Murder's the third one, and we actually got to see 2 versions of this card, the regular one as well as the Friday Night Magic promo. Yeah, good removal spell for limited, no doubt. Now, they showed these a few days ago, but gave us a better picture today. These are the lands you'll find in this season's standard showdown packs. They actually look pretty sweet. The art's amazing. Before we get into the rest of the new cards that they showed us today, I just wanted to show you this one last card that was found in a Dominaria pack. And we saw a lot of that going on over the course of the last number of weeks now. This one I didn't do a video on. I just didn't think it was worth doing a whole video for just one card that's a common. But I wanted to point it out because as we go through the rest of the cards today, we're not seeing a lot of gold cards yet or payoffs for multicolor. But this tells me there's got to be some good payoffs, because if these are in there at the common spot, and I could imagine all 10 might be there, well, there's got to be some reason for it. And I just thought that was kind of interesting. So next we're going to talk about cards that were found in Dominaria packs that they actually confirmed today are truly real cards. So we talked about them all in previous videos. I'll just run through them quickly here. Here's the white ones that we saw officially confirmed now that we talked about previously. Dwarven Priest, Inspired Charge, Knight's Pledge, Loxodon Linebreaker, Mighty Leap, Oreskos Swiftclaw, Revitalize, and Rustwing Falcon. In blue, Divination, Frilled Sea Serpent, Tolarian Scholar, Uncomfortable Chill, and Wall of Mist. Black, Sovereign's Bite has been confirmed. And in red, Fire Elemental, Goblin Motivator, Hostile Minotaur, Onak Ogre, and Trumpet Blast. Alright, ready for some new cards? Let's talk new cards. Herald of Faith. 2 white and 3, Angel, uncommon, 4/3, flying. When this attacks, you gain 2 life. Nothing crazy here, but a good limited card. A 4/3 for 5 in the air. Yeah, I'll play this all day long, and I might gain some life to boot, which is pretty awesome if I'm up against an aggressive build and I took some early damage. Star Crown Stag. This is a white and 3 elk, common 3/3. Whenever this attacks, tap target creature defending player controls. Great way to push damage across in limited. This could be a high draft pick. Take Vengeance. White and 1, sorcery, common, destroy target tapped creature. Sometimes these feel a tad bit awkward because many times you have to take the hit before you can actually use this to destroy the creature. Or if they're holding it back as a blocker, there's not a lot this card can do. But you know what? For 2 mana, even at sorcery speed, I'll play this in limited and be real happy with it. Aven Windmage, blue and 2, bird, wizard, common 2/2 flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, this will get +1/+1 till end of turn. Kind of wish it just had prowess, but instead it's an instant and sorcery centric card, which is probably a clue as to what blue and probably red are trying to do in this set. But you know what? It's still like a Wind Drake with upside, so yeah, I'm going to be pretty happy with it generally and play it probably most of the time in limited. Here's an interesting one. It's a rare, Patience Rebuilding. I like the art on it too. 2 blue and 3. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, target opponent puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Then you draw a card for each land card put into that graveyard this way. Wow, okay. So you're paying 5 and nothing's going to happen right away. I'm usually not a big fan of spells like that. But the upside here potentially could be quite strong if your opponent doesn't have an answer for this. Because first off, you don't even have to have a mill plan in limited where your opponent has a 40-card deck, losing 3 cards a turn plus drawing a card. That is a mill plan, basically. So this could mill out your opponent. Meanwhile, you're drawing cards as this is happening. Yeah, that is actually kind of insane. So this is definitely first pickable, I think, in a lot of packs. I'm just going out there, even though I've only seen a third of the set or so. I'm going to say right now, I think this is easily first pickable. This thing will be a monster in limited, no doubt. What about standard? I would entertain the idea of trying this in something like an Azorius Control build, but I think the 5 casting cost will hold it back there. Teferi also costs 5, and it is usually a 4 in those builds, so I don't know if it really fits there. Bog Stomper. Yeah, vanilla creature, 2 black and 4, it's a beast, common 6/5. When you play these unlimited, you usually aren't happy about it, but sometimes you need to, so it's there if you need to. This one comes to us from a French language preview. It's Infernal Judgment. It costs 1 black. It's an instant. Exile target colorless creature. You gain life equal to its power. This is another rare that's really interesting to me, and I'm thinking Legacy sideboards, maybe even Modern sideboards. But if someone's playing like a Sneak Attack or Through the Breach, and I have this in my hand, and they're trying to put out an Eldrazi or a big trample artifact creature or something along those lines, well, they're not going to have a good day, because for just 1 black mana, I can put an end to that and also gain life. That's actually kind of insane. So I really, really like this card. I do think it does see play in multiple formats, probably out of sideboards, but still, this could be good in standard sideboards too to deal with vehicle threats in the next meta. Lich's Crest, 2 black and 3, sorcery, common, destroy target creature, you gain 3 life. A little too expensive and slow, of course, for standard, but you'll be happy to run this in limited. It will do work for you. Skeleton Archer, black and 3. It's a creature type Skeleton Archer. Shocking. Common, 3/3. And when this enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to any creature. It actually says Skeleton Archer on this card 3 times, and it's a 3/3. Is that a coincidence? I think not. But this is a fine limited card. It's on curve. It's nothing crazy good or anything, but you'll play it probably a lot of the time. Strangling Spores, black and 3, instant, common. Target creature gets -3/-3 till end of turn. Again, this is a little faster, but still forecasting cost doesn't make me feel like it's going to cross over well into standard. There's just better things. In limited, though, you'll love to have this. Probably first pickable, at least in some packs. Vampire Sovereign, 2 black and 3, vampire, uncommon, 3/4 with flying. When this enters the battlefield, target opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life. Great limited card again. For 5, you get a 3/4 flyer and a 6-point life swing. Yeah, sign me up. This might be first pickable again in some packs. We're seeing a lot of vampires too. Don't know what kind of synergies they'll have. Or maybe we'll get some pieces to help that vampire deck in standard. Time will tell. Fiery Finish, 2 red and 4. It's a sorcery, uncommon. Deals 7 damage to target creature. Again, it's slow and clunky for standard, but in limited, very playable. Spark Tongue Dragon, 2 red and 3. It's a dragon, common, 3/3 with flying. When this enters the battlefield, you may pay a red and 2. When you do, it deals 3 damage to any target. So it's kind of like Kicker, but it's just not called Kicker. It's interesting this is a common too, because I feel like this is at least like an uncommon in most sets. However, in limited, or especially draft, these will be floating around. So if you need a flyer, 3/3 for 5 is not the worst thing in the world, definitely. If you play this later in the game and you have the extra mana, also going 3 to the face or maybe 3 to something on the battlefield, not a bad card at all. Bristling Boar, green and 3 boar, common 4/3. This can't be blocked by more than one creature. I actually really like this for limited. This could be a little bit higher of a pick for me. Not super high considering it's a common, but maybe middle of the pack. The reason I say that is just simply because if you put this out on turn 4 and your opponent just has maybe some 2/2s or something like that, they can't joint block to deal with it very effectively. So this is actually a lot better than I think it looks on paper. Gaspark Twins, 2 green and 5, Tree Folk, 7/7 trample, and can block an additional creature each combat. This one's an uncommon. This is actually great. It's a little expensive at 7, but not anything out of the question for limited. It's a great offensive card with trample as a 7/7. It's a great defensive card, can block a second creature. Yeah, I can see myself running this uncommon quite frequently. Gigantosaurus. I feel like this was maybe named by a 5-year-old, but anyway, the casting cost is 5 green. It's a dinosaur, rare 10/10, vanilla. Now, this is actually kind of interesting to me for a few reasons. Let's talk limited first quickly. I mean, the 5 on color casting cost might be difficult to swing for a lot of decks, but again, we are seeing a lot of color fixing maybe in the set, so if that's the case, it becomes more playable. Is a rare, you won't see it all the time, but there are times where you might be able to get this out on turn 5 or something like that, and having a 10/10 on turn 5 is really, really good, but that's a stretch. Even if it's turn 6 or 7, though, I don't think it's bad. Now, aside from that, would you play this in a green Stompy deck in Standard with Llanowar Elves and such? Maybe. It's just that it's vanilla, and there's just so many better things, right? Even when you're talking like 6, you could have like Carnage Tyrant, I mean, there's Galta that shows up eventually, and you have Steel Leaf Champion. I don't know if it fits in there, honestly. I'd at least want to test it, though. Okay, our first Planeswalker of the set, Vivien Reid. I love that name. She sounds like an accountant or something, not a Planeswalker. Maybe she was an accountant that found her spark. But anyway, 2 green and 3, legendary Planeswalker Vivien. You guys are lucky. I don't write the Magic stories, by the way. This one's a mythic, 5 loyalty, +1. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature or land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. -3, destroy target artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. -8, you get an emblem with creatures you control, get +2/+2, and have vigilance, trample, and indestructible. So 5 casting cost for 5 loyalty, that's not a bad start. The +1, a little awkward for me. I mean, I like digging for things, but it goes to your hand, doesn't go right into play, and you could potentially miss, or maybe not even miss that often, but find something that's just simply not relevant at that moment in the game, and that's a little weird to me. The -3 kind of sort of protects itself. Now, a lot of times the creatures putting pressure on Planeswalkers are flyers, so that might not be horrible, but it is also -3, leaving it to 2 loyalty. The -8, of course, that's good if you have creatures, but again, that's a big if too sometimes in the world of Standard. So I don't love it for Standard necessarily, but I'll tell you where I might play it. Perhaps out of the sideboard, if I'm a green Stompy deck or something like that, and I'm up against a control deck that has a lot of enchantment removal, because there's a lot of that going around nowadays, then I might bring it in to hopefully knock out an enchantment at a critical time or something like that. So maybe it sees a tad bit of standard sideboard play. Other than that, though, this card feels more like a limited bomb, like all Planeswalkers truly are great in limited, even the more mediocre ones. So you'll still first pick this if you get the opportunity in draft, I think. It'll be great for you. So ultimately, yeah, maybe it won't have a huge impact on Constructed, but that's fine. I think it's a cool design. Definitely playable in casual formats too, like Commander. Vivien's Invocation. This costs 2 green and 5. It's a sorcery rare. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. When a creature is put onto the battlefield this way, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. So in a lot of ways, this will feel like a removal spell too. It's a little expensive at 7, sure, but if you can get a decent creature and take out something from your opponents, it will definitely be worth it. It is a little high variance though. If you're behind, this probably won't save you, unfortunately. But at the same time, it feels like a good economy card, especially in a board stall for limited. So draft your sealed. I could see myself playing this and being happy with it. Maybe even first picking it in a lot of packs in draft. Could be decent, at least when the timing is right. Now, aside from that, I think of that casting cost and the high variance. I don't really feel it for standard, but it's an interesting card. I like the design. Fountain of Renewal. This is a 1 casting cost artifact uncommon. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life, pay 3, sacrifice, and draw a card. Now, I feel like this is something I'm never going to main deck, just simply because I don't need a point of life every turn unless there's some sort of situation that makes me feel like that would be super beneficial. For example, I play the first game and I'm up against a hyper-aggressive deck, I'm taking a lot of early damage, now I'll sideboard it in for game 2 or game 3 because I want to try to mitigate some of that early damage. And then later on, when it doesn't matter anymore, this can just simply be sacrificed for a card draw. That's pretty good. So yeah, it's going to be fine in that situation. But other than that, I don't see myself running it. Marauder's Axe, it costs 2. Artifact equipment, common. Gives the equipped creature +2/+0. Equip cost is 2. This is something I'm only going to play if I have creatures where it makes sense. Like trample creatures or creatures of first strike, something like that. Then it's an okay card to run. If not, I probably wouldn't try to force it into my 40. Okay, so those are the new cards that are in the set. Next, we're going to look at reprints in the set. I'm going to go through these fast because you're pretty familiar with most of these. Luminous Bonds, great removal spell, quote-unquote, for white and limited. Pegasus Courser, these are great in Draft and Seal to push across damage and try to actually get past a board stall. Sleep, I love Sleep. I play these all the time in the sets that they exist for Draft and Sealed. They can sometimes let you win a game if you just play it at the right time and everything kind of works out. Again, awesome in board stalls. Snappy Drake, this is a fine flyer. A little fragile with 2 toughness, but I find myself probably playing this more often than I don't. Totally Lost. Great tempo play. Like, I always am happy to have one of these in my Draft or Sealed deck, especially if I start to pull ahead a little bit. Sometimes you can slam the door on a game with a card like this. Digraph Ghoul. Seems like there's some zombies running around, which could be interesting too. We'll have to see if they go anywhere with that. This is another card that's pretty decent, though, in limited, because it effectively is a 2/2 for 2. You have to look at it that way, and that's just fine. Comes into play tapped, but you can't play it on turn 1. Gravedigger. These are always great in Draft and Sealed. I'm always happy to run one of these. There's a lot of economy here. You get a 2/2 body for 4 casting cost, and you get to return a target creature from the graveyard to your hand. It means that you can be a little looser with a block earlier in the game, knowing you might have the opportunity to get a creature back or something along those lines. Or maybe if your opponent takes out one of your bomb win condition creatures, here's another chance you have to get it out on the battlefield. Infernal Scarring probably doesn't make my cut quite a bit of the time. But again, if I have some trample creatures or maybe some first strike creatures, I'd consider it. Just be careful not to get 2 for 1 when you try to cast it. Sky March Bloodletter. I actually like these a lot when I played with them in limited. It's simply a 2/2 flyer for 3 and that little drain life that occurs too. Not that that's a huge deal, but it just twists the knife a little bit. But I'm happy to have a 2/2 flyer for 3 generally. Walking Corpse. Yeah, you know what? 2/2 for 2. It's a bear, it's a zombie, sure, why not? You'll play these, and they're going to be just fine for you to stay on curve. Electrify. This one's not bad, actually, in limited. It can't hit a player, but 4 damage to a creature for 4 instant speed. These are pretty good. Could be another decently high draft pick, like middle to higher portion of the pack sometimes. It is a common, you don't have to super prioritize it, but I'll take these pretty early on, typically. Lightning Strike's back again, and obviously this has been seeing a lot of standard play recently. Great in limited as well. Hey, red players, guess what? Shock's not going away this fall. Good news for you. Bad news probably for everybody else. But yeah, this is a good card. It's been seeing standard play, and it's awesome and limited. Volcanic Dragon. Now, this is not going to cross over into standard when you have so many great red cards, but this is fine in limited games. It's a 6 casting cost flyer. It's a 4/4 with haste, so it's going to feel more like a 5-drop. Center Courser. 3/3 for 3 in Draft and Seal. Sometimes even a little ahead of the standard curve. Yeah, I'm happy to run this. Guess who's back? Back again. Dreadmaw's back. Tell a friend. Yeah, they're just trolling us now. What is this, 4 out of the last 5 sets or something like that we've gotten this card, so yeah, here it is. I play it still, though, so I don't know what that says. Giant Spider. You can't have a core set without Giant Spider, right? Good limited card, though, especially to deal with some flyers. Highland Game. I was never a fan of this one because I don't like 2/1s for 2. And the upside here, it dies, you get 2 life. It just didn't feel like enough. I would sideboard it in against an aggressive build, though. Oakenform. I'll do this in limited if I have a good reason. Trample creatures are a great reason. First Strike might be a good reason, too. But, again, just be really careful that you play it at a time where you can't be 2 for 1. You kind of get your money's worth of the 3 mana out of it, if nothing else. Plummet. Great sideboard card to deal with flyers, of course. Rabid Bite. This is premium green removal in limited. Like, you'll be happy to pick this up. Another common card that's actually pretty powerful. Recollect. Awesome if you need to grab one of those removal spells back into your hand, or maybe bring a win condition back to your hand. This is going to be strong for you a lot of the time. Thornhide Wolves. Another one of these vanilla creatures that you're not happy if you play it, but sometimes you still play it. Titanic Growth, huge combat trick here, and I'm not just saying that because it's Titanic Growth. See what I did there? But +4/+4 for 2, instant speed. Yeah, I like to have one of these in my deck a lot of the time in Draft and Sealed. Wall of Vines. I'm not main decking this unless I'm really concerned about the early game. Like maybe my deck's a little too middle, high curve heavy, or I'm trying to be a little more controlling, methodical, gum up the ground. Then I'll run it. Other than that, another card side in against more aggressive builds. Okay, so that covers all of the new cards they revealed that are actually in the core set. Now, this next series of cards we're going to look at are cards that you'll find within the Welcome decks as well as the Planeswalker decks, okay? So these will not be in the actual set. You won't open a core set pack and find these, but they are still standard legal. You could actually play these in standard if you chose to. Although most of them don't really feel like they'd be good enough. Actually, I don't know if any of them feel like they'd be good enough, but anyway, let's look at the first one. We'll look at new cards again first, then reprints. Sarah's Guardian. 2 white and 4, Angel, Rare, 5/5 Flying Vigilance. Other creatures you control have Vigilance. I might consider playing this in Commander. There's certain decks where I think I would enjoy this ability, and it's an okay creature on its own too. It's an Angel, that could be relevant as well. So maybe there. Other than that, yeah, it's a little heavy for anything else. I feel like it's just going to be a fun casual card for these decks. Silver B Griffin. This is borderline good, like 2 white for 2/2 flying Griffin. This one's a common. Now, I would say that if this was in limited in the set, that this could be a good card for you. Really aggressive flyer. I like that. But since it's just in the casual decks, yeah, I don't really see it crossing over into standard or anything like that. Sun Sentinel. Again, this is a good limited card if it existed there. But in these casual decks, I'm sure it's just fine. This one's actually kind of interesting. Riddlemaster Sphinx. This is 2 blue and 4. It's a rare Sphinx, 5/5 flying. And when this enters the battlefield, you may return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. This is another card that if it was in the regular set, I would say I could see myself first picking it. I love these cards that you put the creature down and bounce your opponent's thing. Because getting a 5/5 flyer and bouncing your opponent's best creature, that's a huge tempo play. I like that a lot. So again, another card that will be good in these casual decks. Gravewaker. This is cool, but really expensive. 2 black and 4, it's a rare. Bird Spirit, 5/5 with flying. 2 black and 5, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it pulls something directly from graveyard to battlefield. It is tapped, but I still like that a lot. The ability cost and the casting cost will keep this out of standard or anything like that. But I could see having some fun with this, maybe even in Commander. Kargan Dragon Rider. This is a red and 1 human warrior. Hey, a warrior. 2/2. And it is a common. As long as you control a dragon, then this has flying. Yeah, nothing crazy about this. A 2/2 for 2 with upside. I'd be happy to play this in limited if it was in the set. But again, it will be just fine, I'm sure, in the casual decks. Aggressive Mammoth. This would be good in limited too. I kind of wish some of these cards were actually in the set. 3 green and 3. Elephant, rare. 8/8 trample. Other creatures you control have trample. This feels like just a game-winning card to just try to close out a game. Ursine Champion, a green and 1, creature, human, berserker, common 2/2. Green 5, this gets +3/+3 and becomes a bear berserker until end of turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. This is a bear that turns into a bear. Yeah, that's what they did with this card. How did this miss the regular set? Alright, we're in the home stretch now. We're going to look at the reprints that you'll find in the Planeswalker and Welcome decks, starting with Air Elemental. Great casual card, one of the original cards, good inclusion. Befuddle, that one's not too old, but again, this will surely be a decent combat trick in a casual environment. Mistcloaked Herald, that one's kind of interesting. I kind of wonder, like, the reason it's in the decks that it's in. I guess we'll see. Waterknot, good blue removal spell, quote-unquote. Grasping Scoundrel, we get a pirate in there too. This is just a whole mishmash of things. Tattered Mummy, again, all over the place. I was never a big fan of this card though, because it's a 1/2 for 2, and again, that upside when it dies, if opponent loses 2 life, just didn't feel all that big to me. I felt like I'd rather play a 2/2 for 2 with some other ability, or even a vanilla. Radiating Lightning, another card I'm not a huge fan of in this current limited format, but yeah, there it is. Shivan Dragon. Yeah, you knew this had to be there, right? This is one of those cards they always reprint, at least for the welcome decks, if nothing else, so it's back again. And finally, we just saw these in Dominaria about Llanowar Elves. I think this is a nice inclusion for casual decks, though. They can speed along the game a little bit. And, of course, this is already Standard legal, but probably one of the few cards from this group that I would say I'd want to play in Standard. Alright, with that being said, guess what? Those are the 71 new cards, plus the cards that have been confirmed that we've seen previously. So we've seen about a third of the set at this point, which is pretty insane. Now, there's still a lot of rares, obviously, and mythics we haven't seen. As a matter of fact, once we get to the preview weeks, I'm sure that's what's really going to be the focus. But at least for right now, we're getting an idea of what the core set's all about. Till next time, though, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible by the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.